Alternative Reality Volume 1 Chapter 2 Slowly, Luke rose from a capsule-shaped bed like a man revived from the dead, flinching from all the aches and pains lancing through his weary body. Eyes narrowed, he glared around as if expecting someone to attack him, and then proceeded to rub away the bleariness out of his eyes. Slowly, he clambered out of the capsule and almost casually sniffed at the air. Then his own shirt, and then, scowling as if someone had squandered his life's fortune during his absence, Luke proceeded to shuffle over to the washroom. What exactly did he expect after spending 10 whole hours immersed in alternative reality? To come out smelling like daisies? Though, some would be left wondering if that wasn't exactly what happened, since once in the washroom, all Luke did was splash some water on his face. Getting back to the point, however, alternative reality. The world-renowned virtual reality massive multiplayer game. Ugh, what a mouthful. Full immersion, full headache. First of its kind. And probably the most successful game in history, spreading around the globe faster than the Black Plague did. Didn't need to be piggy-ridden by rats either. The first few weeks after its release, quite a few critics made fun of the game's name as unoriginal, stale, boring even. But do you hear any complaints now, after 1 year? Nope. Not a whisper. Excluding the ones who either can't afford it, have no time for it, or are simply paranoid. A clique of people who see it as a big ol' Illuminati conspiracy to control mankind with affordable and addicting entertainment. Yep, there's still the reason for everything bad anywhere. Barely a few months ago, Luke could have been considered as one of those few exceptions. He stubbornly refused to join the mass hysteria over alternative reality, bent on being unique. Someone who didn't follow mainstream trends. Yet after being bombarded from every direction with positive feedback on it, he finally gave in and successfully became a self-respecting addict to the damn thing. One of many. Sadly though, he died in-game. Thus he couldn't hop back in it for the next, Luke glanced at his watch, 23 hours, 57 minutes and 15 seconds. Most game addicts, ever drowning in denial and self-loathing, would already be banging their heads against the wall in anxiety-stricken frustration. But Luke was different. He had a purpose. And a free day would only serve it in a different way than playing alternative reality from sunrise to sunset. Luke, 25 years old, living alone in a 2-room flat, bought by his parents, receiving temporary monetary support from them as well, due to arrangements that he didn't feel like delving into anytime soon. Totally independent besides all that though. Living the dream, no doubt about that. Not even a little bit. Once done washing up, Luke made himself a sandwich and decided to use this opportunity to go to work. Yep, he also worked part-time. Sure, he could have smooshed off his parents, but if he wanted to have at least some semblance of self-respect, this was an absolute necessity. What Luke worked as was a customer service inspector of sorts, a licensed one. Wasn't really hard getting it either. He just needed to sign some forms given by his employers, a few tests, and done. Though the company that hired him seemed so sketchy that for the first 3 months, Luke had a hard time sleeping. Fear of not getting paid constantly haunted him. That, or finding out that the place was being raided by the local authorities. But after half a year, the fear went away, and he started to enjoy his simple and unique job. Those fat checks for relatively easy work might have had something to do with that though. Just a little bit. What he basically did was enter any local institution, be it a restaurant, a store, or even the mall, and cause trouble. Not the kind where you break stuff, of course. He wasn't some underground kingpin's underling. Well, hopefully. Hell, even if he did become one day, with non-existent muscles, violence would have been an embarrassing venture. Getting back to the job description, Luke simply pretended to be an unsatisfied customer everywhere he was able to. He slipped on the floor at the local mall and complained about it to any personnel being close enough to hear. He complained about the food being over or undercooked. No shoe size for his large feet? Complained to the manager. Heck, if possible, he even tried making a scene, which sometimes did not turn out too well for him. People do get offended easily after all, and beating up a shabby-looking 25-year-old always seemed like the best way to shut them up. But Luke was persistent. One or a pair of black eyes never stopped him. After all, it didn't make him look any worse, not with the constantly present dark bags under the eyes he was cursed with. Having another excuse to report the staff served as a pleasant bonus as well. A counterbalance to all the suffering. Thus, he carried on with the job, got a promotion, a pay increase, and open work hours. Now he just needed to fulfill his weekly quota and all was well. Of course, this didn't make him the most likable person in the big city. But since it was so densely populated, he would rarely get recognized even while visiting the same place twice. Unless he'd bump into the same person he drove nuts the last time. Those encounters rarely ended well. But so did most situations Luke got himself into. Life never went easy on him. Once Luke was done eating a sandwich, he changed clothes. Standard dark blue jeans and a short-sleeved shirt. An average pedestrian, perfect disguise. How lucky that pretty much his whole available wardrobe was the same bland stuff. For once, his dislike of shopping and poor taste seemed to be paying off. He so disliked the tedium of looking for what fit while being glared at by the local staff like he was trouble. Bah, how he hated it. And people. And spending money. Heck, he didn't much like being outside either. Where were we again? Ah, yes. The plan was to spend the rest of the day pissing people off and then going to sleep early. The 24-hour wait would fly by in a blink of an eye. Only a few bruises and an uneasy night's rest away. All dressed and ready to go, Luke quickly shuffled out into the corridor and encountered his first hurdle of the day. Where the hell did I put those damn keys? He grumbled while patting himself down, as if he was practicing for a potential career in airport security. During it, an unexpected and quite unwelcome vibration disrupted his pants, which made him squeeze out another curse. It wasn't because of his neighbor coincidentally slipping out of the adjacent apartment at the same time either. Even if she just so happened to be a stunning every young adult's wet dream goth girl either. No, it was just Luke's mother, calling just at the worst possible moment, as usual. I swear, sometimes I think she's psychic, Luke mumbled under his breath before answering the phone. Hi, Mom, he said, and resumed his desperate search for the keys, and got an unpleasant glare from the goth girl as a bonus. She never did seem to like him. One could only wonder why. He was never loud, slept early enough, never complained, never talked to anyone at all for that matter. He didn't even know her name. "No, Mom, I'm fine. Yes, I'll visit as soon as I am able." Luke continued to reply laconically, while hissing from the effort to pull out the miraculously located keys from the inner pocket in his jeans. Was it the smell? Luke wondered as the neighbor went down the stairs after going around him in a comically wide arc. Maybe a quick shower before leaving would have been a good idea after all. "Yes, Mom, thanks. Don't worry. Look, I'm late for work. I have to go." "All right. Bye." With a heavy sigh, Luke gave the door one final check. One could never be too careful. And left the same way the unfriendly neighbor left. Not to stalk her, of course, nor to fantasize about her later at night. That wasn't Luke's style at all. He was a self-respecting, self-efficient grown-up. There was stuff on the internet free of charge, free of risk for that kind of thing. The stairs were simply the only way down and out of the apartment building. Sadly, Luke had numerous experiences over his short, yet arduous lifetime, during which he was misunderstood, shunned, at the center of attention in an unpleasant way. Time passed, he got used to it, but every now and again, resurfacing memories did make him squirm uncomfortably. Maybe that's why he turned out the way he did. Or maybe those were just pointless justifications. None could say, though many would think they knew better. Luke didn't care about all that, of course. He had a purpose in life. One that he was prepared to pursue for as long as it took, however it might turn out. To succeed in alternative reality. Now, he just needed to learn how to die less as a first step towards that goal.